Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Porsche 550A Spyder made by Maisto. I got this model off of Amazon for the very low price of $17.48. That's because it was sold by Amazon Warehouse Deals. It had a pretty heavily, damaged, dented box and everything, so that kind of was the reason why they had the discount on it. And I expected the model to have maybe some form of light, damage or scratching to it. But the model actually came perfect. Those Maisto boxes really do hold up quite well, even when they are damaged. So that's really cool to see that. But Maisto does still manufacture this particular model. You can find 3 different versions of it. As of now, they only make this nice silver version with the black interior. They also made it in black with a red interior. And they also made a second silver version that had a racing, like numbers and stuff on it. But this model is very widely available, and it should be very easy to find one for under $40, depending on if you buy one new from, Amazon or Diecast Model Wholesale, or if you happen to find a used one in good condition on eBay. So Maisto has made this model since at least the mid-1990s, so it should be very easy to find. So the Porsche 550 was manufactured in kind of a small batch between 1953 and 1956. They were pretty much intended for racing, and a lot of them did race too. If you look up pictures of the old 550A, you will see that, they'll have like the racing numbers on them and everything like that. And this model, despite being 1/18 scale, is very small. Like the real 550 was a tiny, tiny little car. Kind of like the Porsche 356 that was sold alongside it. Just very small cars to kind of give you an idea of the size. I mean, here's my hand, I guess, for comparison. But here's a 1/24 scale Porsche 911 GT2. It's the same length and almost the same size. And this model is a 1/24 scale model. Let's see here on the bottom, 1/24 and then 1/18. And this is proper. This is probably one of the smallest, I guess, 1/18 scale models that Maisto has actually made. And despite its small size, the details are abundant on here. And I think if you're a fan of older Porsches, this model definitely is a must-have for your collection. So go ahead and get into the details of the model here. We'll start up here at the front. I think Maisto did a great job with these lights up here. Great overall shape and texture and everything. You see there is kind of a texture on the lenses there. A small peg in the center of each one, but these would have like the giant light bulb in the center if this were the real version. And then you have these kind of lower spotlights down here. I guess they might be fog lights or something, but they're actually cast in separate pieces. So I think that's a really cool touch. You have the Porsche inscription and the Porsche badge, which I always liked about the 550. It had both. And this is true to a lot of older Porsches from the 1950s. They had both the inscription and the badge on it. And Maisto does replicate that quite well. They're nice and embossed on there. They're not stickers or anything like that, so that's very nice to see. Now, the paint quality on this model is excellent. The silver really does shine on here. I guess for older versions of this model from the late 1990s, just be careful with maybe occasional like orange peel here and there. But I think at that point, Maisto really was doing a better job like with their paint jobs and everything. And if you get one that was made in the last like 15 years, you're going to have a perfect paint job. Like this paint job on this one is a flawless. Mine was actually made in 2020. So yeah, the overall paint job is excellent. And I would say the same would be probably true for the black and the racing versions too. On the side here, Maisto, I think, did a great job with these wheels. I think all the 550s came with this particular style of wheel. You see on here, you do have the black painted, I guess, lug nuts and this center cap on here. Now, some versions of this model will not come with these additional kind of black details on here, but you can easily just take a Sharpie, color that in black and color all of those in black if you happen to get a model that doesn't have those extra details on there. But on mine, they do have that, so that's nice to see. Then, of course, you have the Spyder inscription alongside here in gold. Very cool touch. And, of course, you do actually get full suspension and steering. And it's actually very good suspension and steering for such a small model. These wheels will bow out occasionally, so you just kind of have to push them up like this. But that's not a big deal. And this is a very kind of lightweight car, too, because it is so small. Taking a look at the back, they actually put in fully perforated vents on this engine cover back here. That's very nice to see. And I'd say this is probably like a higher quality of a chrome that they use too. And again, just like the front, on the back here, you do have the Porsche badge and the Porsche inscription back here. And then you have this nice kind of separately cast chrome license plate frame, a slight bit loose, but a drop of glue can easily fix that with the Spyder plate back here. And these tiny little bead-shaped taillights that the real car has too. I think Maisto did an excellent job with replicating those on this model here. You do have two intakes up here. They're not finished that well. You can see there's kind of a rough edge around it. So if Maisto, I guess, had maybe done a little bit better job of finishing this, so I'll have to make it look a little bit more smooth. But you can only see it if you're looking at it like really close. Like from here, you can't tell if there's kind of that rough edge on there. And it might just be a factory defect. I'm not too sure, but I don't think, it's a big deal at all. In terms of opening features, we'll start up here with this front trunk. And Maisto nailed the overall shape of this car too. I always loved the shape of the 550A Spyder, and it's kind of funny to see pictures of people sitting in it and driving it, because they just look like your head, I think, goes up to where my finger would be if this were like the real car, just because it's so small. And despite that, it's a very cool looking car, very sleek and everything. I've always loved these 1950s Porsches. But anyway, back to the opening parts. We'll start up here with this front compartment here. If you push down on it slightly with your thumb or your one finger, you can pull it up like so. This is actually where the fuel tank is on the real car and on the model too. You see they have the nice separately chrome center cap on there. You actually do get a battery down here too with all this labeling on here. It looks like a real battery I can actually take out of the model. Maisto did a really good job with like that clear labeling on there and everything. I actually didn't even notice that on this model until after I got it. Because pictures online, a lot of them will just show this, and I'm like, oh, it's, I guess the whole thing's taken up by this, fuel tank. But no, that's really cool to see that in there. Now, some versions of this model will not come with these two, I guess, straps and this wire. They will not be painted black like they are on my model here. But again, if you have a silver Sharpie, if you have a black Sharpie, you can easily just add those details on there yourself if your model happens to not come with those details. But there's not too much to see in here, but I think what is in here, Maisto did a really good job with replicating. And I love that kind of hidden detail there with that battery. I'm guessing it's a battery. Correct me if I'm wrong. It has all that different warning labels and the other stuff on there. It says Bosch and then SR down there. But that's really good attention to detail, all that extra labeling on there and everything. I think they did a great job with that. We'll take a look next at the engine detail of this model. Now, a nice thing about this engine cover is that it actually does lock shut, so when you turn the model like this, it will not fall open, which Maisto rarely seems to do with their other models, so that's kind of cool to see it on here. You just kind of have to pull it up like so. This is the latch that does latch it shut. And in addition to locking shut, Maisto also gives you a prop rod to hold this piece up. So you just kind of have to put the prop rod on there like so. And then just kind of close the hood, or close the engine cover slightly, and then it is in contact. This is probably the only Maisto model with an engine cover, or hood, I guess, that has both a locking mechanism to keep it shut and the prop rod. I wish all their models came with that, because then you can put it on the shelf like this and not worry about the engine cover, falling shut or anything like that, or wearing with, use and stuff like that. But the engine detailing in here, I would say, is excellent. You have a multi-piece engine kind of layout in here. You have some chrome here. You have this kind of fan in the center there. You can actually see the suspension if you kind of push down like that. That's really cool to see that. You have two separate chrome pieces on here. A little bit of wiring down below is actually very hard to see. And a very cool feature is this kind of saddlebag back here. It looks like I could actually take that out and open it. And Maisto does a great job with kind of doing these belts in kind of that brown paint. Now, some models will not come with these painted brown, but you can always do that yourself, I guess. If you get a newer version like I did, then you will get the brown belt detailing and those extra black details on the wheels and on the fuel tank. So, but I'm not sure about all the older versions if they would have that detail or not. But you also do get a full spare tire in here that is an actual like rubber tire, and these belts are actually like a separately cast piece too. And the wheel is actually the proper shape and size to what the real car would actually have. A lot of times on Maisto's classic car models, they'll put in just kind of like a generic looking like spare tire. But on here, they actually like made this just for this particular model, and that looks really, really well done. Like you see all the spoke details on there, and even the little holes where you would put like the screws and like the, you know, like the bolts and everything, if you were to actually install the real spare tire on the car. But yeah, again, not too much to really see in here, but I think what Maisto has in there, they do an excellent job with. Definitely one of their better engines and kind of spare tire detailings on one of their models. And then to close it, you kind of hear that click. That means that this is now shut and locked shut. So that's really cool to see that Maisto put in that extra little feature in there to lock it shut. We'll take a look at this kind of basic interior next. The doors do open up on dogleg hinges. Not too much to really see on the doors themselves. You do have that kind of large chrome handle you would see on the real car. I'm not sure what the car was actually made of in real life, but you can see it's all inside the interior here, just like the bare, I guess, aluminum or metal that it was made of, and that does continue onto the door panels. And it really creates a nice kind of sleek look to it, and a really, you know, interesting look to it as well. This is actually hollowed out in here. I'm not sure if that would be like a storage pocket or what, but not really too much to see on these doors, but what Maisto does put in there, I think they do a great job with. Kind of get a better look on this side here of that separately cast door handle and this kind of center pocket on here. There's kind of a rough texture on the inside of this, like a black plastic, so interesting. They also do an excellent job with the seat details. If you run your finger along them, they feel like the real texture of the real seats. Maisto was always good at putting these into like their classic car models, you know, just real kind of leather feeling and stuff. That's awesome to see them. And they are the proper shape and size. This is a very crammed interior, as you can imagine, because this is such a small car. Now on the dashboard, there really is not anything to see except for a few buttons, which Maisto actually colors in all of them. There's 3 here and there's 1 here. It looks like you can actually push them too. They really do a good job of kind of casting those as those pieces on there. It's all kind of one molded piece, like the whole dashboard and everything, but they do a really convincing job of it. And the steering wheel is also very well done too. You see you kind of have that wood kind of coloring and texture to it along the perimeter here. Once again, not all models will come with this. I think some of Maisto's 550As came with like a black band around the steering wheel, but I think the proper look is this kind of wood grain look to it. And it really does look awesome paired up with the silver car and everything. And of course you do get the you get the Porsche badge in the center and kind of these chrome spokes on here too. It's actually kind of a higher quality of a chrome too. And the gauge cluster is actually just a sticker, but at least you can still clearly read the gauges on here too. So that's cool to see. And the shifter is actually a separate piece along with the handbrake down on the floor there. And I like this kind of metal feature on here too with those 2 holes in it. This is actually a separate piece. It's not made of metal on the model, but on the real car, this entire thing would be like the aluminum or the metal that the outside of the car would have been made of. And then you do get these 3 pedals down here too, which are also separately cast. They have a nice kind of look and texture to them too. And on the undercarriage of the model, really nothing to see. There is a little bit of detail poking out back here from the engine and stuff. And the entire undercarriage is actually painted in silver, which is nice to see. You know, for aerodynamics, you wouldn't really have anything exposed under here. They would all be covered with like panels and whatnot. But this is a really nice looking kind of classic Porsche model. Maisto actually did make the 356 in their 1/18 scale line. It's a similar size to the 550A, so if you can find that and the 550A, I would say definitely get them, especially if you're a fan of, you know, classic Porsches and everything. I don't think any other budget brands made the 550A Spyder in 1/18 scale. There might have been an upper-end manufacturer, but I can't think of it at the moment. But this model is very widely available, and I think it's priced very well in most cases. I would say, you know, pay maybe up to $40 for, because I think anything above that is a bit of a stretch. There's a lot that are available for between $20 and $40, you know, between eBay and Amazon and whatnot. So overall, I highly recommend getting this model for your collection, whether you collect Porsche models or just classic cars from the 50s and what have you. As always, hope this video was helpful, and feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on this model. Thanks for watching.